All right, welcome back. Today we get to start learning about some of the fun stuff. And today's lesson is all about doing or not doing, which is really a trick statement because we're actually always doing something. And that's my point, is that we tend to think that we're doing something or not doing something. So what I mean by that is we think that we're either building a habit or we're working towards a goal or we're creating something or we're not doing it. But actually the opposite is true. We're always doing something. So if you're doing the thing that you want to do, then you're doing it. And if you're not doing it, then you're building the habit of not doing it. So I'll give you an example. With the 2-minute mindfulness exercises, you've either been doing them and building a habit of doing them, or you've been not doing them and building a habit of not doing them, of procrastinating. And procrastination is such a huge problem for so many people because we've practiced it so much. There's people that have practiced procrastination their whole lives, right? So if you're trying to stop watching TV and start doing more productive things, whatever that means to you, but then you think, oh, I'll start that tomorrow. I'm not going to do it until tomorrow, and then you watch TV. You're not just not doing the thing you want to do, you're actually building the habit of watching TV. We're always building a habit and training ourselves to do something. I said in the beginning, one of my cardinal rules, especially when you're doing something new, is to do it every single day. And if you take a day off, never take two. And we've all mostly experienced this, with maybe we've gotten into a health and fitness routine and you take one day off for some reason, maybe there's a birthday or something happens and it's no big deal. But the second you take 2 days off, you're building a habit of not going. And now it takes more effort, more energy, more intention, more willpower to make yourself go again and start rebuilding that habit of going. Another way I like to describe this is it's like every single day you're placing one brick in the foundation of the house that's your life. So every day you're adding one brick, one brick, one brick, one brick, and then you live in the house that you've built. So you don't build a house of procrastination, of negativity, of doing things you don't like doing, and then all of a sudden go and live in this magical, beautiful house. It doesn't work like that. You build your life one brick at a time. And so you have to ask yourself in each moment, am I laying a good brick today or a bad brick? Another way to think about this is, people talk about manifesting, and whether you resonate with that language or not, people think manifesting is either sitting on the couch manifesting, $1 million in a mansion, a Ferrari, or they're not manifesting. No, if you believe in manifesting, if you look at goal setting, if you understand the neurobiology of why things like that work, you're always doing something. You're always manifesting. And whatever you have in your life now is what you've manifested. And again, I don't necessarily agree or disagree with that language. I'm just using it as an example. But you have to look. If what you have in your life now, it didn't just happen, that's what you've been creating with your thoughts, your feelings, your behaviors, your habits. So your life is the feedback, the result of what you've been getting for what you've been doing. And it all starts with our thoughts. Hopefully you see that so clearly now after last week. But if you think what you've always thought, then you'll get what you've always gotten. And so if you want to get something different, you need to think a new thought. Create a new blueprint that you're working towards. The mind is incredible at taking what's in it and recreating it. The mind is very habitual, and it's amazing at moving us towards what we think it wants. And if we don't have a tomorrow, a clear tomorrow that we're moving towards, then we just get yesterday over and over and over. And whenever I say that, people always go, oh my God, that's what my life feels like I'm living the same day on a loop. And that's essentially in many ways what's happening. And this was never more clear to me than with a client that I saw a while ago. And I actually got shivers when I was reading her intake form, because she described in her childhood there was this horrible event where her mother had this really physically abusive boyfriend, and he actually had stabbed her in front of the client when she was like 6 years old. It was horrific. And she had gone on to, in her early 20s, found someone who she had a relationship with, and then recreated almost that she didn't end up getting stabbed, but recreated almost that exact scene right down to the detail of the knife. And when I read that, the knife, that second time in her history, I just shivered, because I knew that something about that person was so familiar to her, not obvious on the surface, just because she was around that when she was young, that was familiar to her mind. There was a blueprint there. And so she found a person who she, of course, met and thought, oh, I feel like I've known this person forever. But that feeling isn't necessarily good or bad. It's just what's familiar. And because she had been around this when she was young, and that was what was in her mind, she found someone who was so similar that recreated that scene almost down to the exact details. And when she was telling me about it, she even said, I couldn't believe this happened. It was almost the exact same thing. And she didn't have the understanding of why that would happen. It had happened until we worked together. But she knew that it was something to do with her mind, and that she had somehow recreated that. And the mind really is that powerful. So if we have a past that we don't like, if we have a yesterday that we don't, if we have a today that we don't like, then we need to change that blueprint to give our mind a really clear picture to go, hey mind, this is what I really want. This is the vision, the blueprint, the picture that I want us to move towards. You know, another thing I see with clients a lot is when we start doing a future self vision, going, you know, who do you want to be in the future? It's like, wow, I live this life of balance, and I have wealth and success, and I have lots of time with my friends and family, and I'm calm, and I always set boundaries, and, you know, balance is often a big thing that comes up. So this is the vision here. And then people, and then when it's like, how are you living your life now? You know, they're living without balance. They're going, oh, I have no boundaries. I work all this time, da 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 da. And we do this weird thing where we have this vision of how we want to live our life, and then we become this other person in order to get there. But that's not how it works. The person you're becoming is the person you become. So if you become this person over here who's a workaholic, has no boundaries, doesn't value time with their family, you don't suddenly one day get out of that and become this person. That's sort of what you've wired into yourself. That's the person you've become, the way of being. So if we want to be this person over here, we have to start taking those qualities and living that way in the present. So last week was all about language and our thoughts and how they affect us and changing that. And now this week is all about changing that blueprint, that picture, that vision in our mind. And just like last week where we focused on when we're getting what we don't want first to observe it before we moved into, you know, giving our mind more direction about what we want, we're going to do the same thing this week. So with this new understanding, realizing that you're not working towards something or not working towards it, you're actually always working towards something. It might just be what you want or what you don't want. I want you to just reflect and go through the day and start looking at, you know, what things do you do that you've normalized that are actually taking you away from what you want. Maybe it's watching TV. Maybe it's spending too much time on social media. Maybe you're telling yourself a question of, I'll start tomorrow, or I'll start tomorrow, or, you know, you're trying to eat a certain way, but you're always making excuses. Or maybe it's just simply that you've never actually thought about what you want tomorrow, what you want the future to look like in this way. But whatever it is, I want you to just reflect throughout the day, look at your actions, look at the things you think about, the things you picture, and just see, what are you doing that's actually moving you in a direction that's counterproductive to what you really want. You're doing amazing. Bye for now.